Hey college football fans, welcome to another episode of Walk It Off with Chappy, where I'm going to highlight the winners of Week 11. So let's start in Storrs, Connecticut. Congrats to Jim Mora and the Yukon Huskies for getting their 6th victory, beating an 8-1 and ranked Liberty team in Storrs, Connecticut at Rentschler Field. They've now beaten 3 teams who currently hold winning records. They also played 3 really good teams that they lost to, but a trifecta of Syracuse, Michigan, and NC State, all on the road, were games that, they had Syracuse at home, but playing those other 2 teams on the road, they were battle tested. They also started the year against reigning Mountain West champ and 11-win team Utah State from last year. So that in the opener, you don't know what you're going to get, but they got to 6 wins, and congrats to them. Another victory for a team that people had low expectations for this year was the Vanderbilt Commodores, getting their 4th W of the season, going into Kroger Field in Lexington, Kentucky, and beating the Kentucky Wildcats. It's their first SEC win in 27 games, and they earned it. They didn't do it by Kentucky just playing flat the whole time. They had to come from behind and get that game-winning touchdown, a touchdown pass at the end of the 4th quarter. So kudos to Clark Lee and all those Vandy boys for believing, anchoring down, and putting together their 4th win of the season. So good on them. TCU out of the Big 12, man, they just keep getting it done. And I'm one of those people that has kind of expected over the last 3 weeks that their might would run out and that the clock would strike midnight. But this time they did it with defense. It wasn't their offense, but their defense shut down the Texas Longhorns, a team that was averaging over 400 yards total offense per game. They didn't even reach half of that in this matchup at home against the Horned Frogs. So kudos to Joe Gillespie and that defensive group, holding Bijan Robinson to just 28 yards rushing for the game, and getting to Quinn Ewers and limiting that. He only had 171 passing yards and 0 touchdowns. So good on TCU. Kudos to Drake May, quarterback for North Carolina, who has almost single-handedly been the reason that they are ACC Coastal Division champs. They have 4 games that have been decided by 3 points or less, so those games don't go in their favor. If Drake May is not having the lighted up type season that he is, North Carolina could be just barely struggling for bowl eligibility, but as it turns out, they've got 9 wins on the season. Their 1 loss coming to Notre Dame, but they still put up over 25 points in that matchup. So good on Drake May, who is having a Heisman type season. Probably will not get it unless there's a struggle down the road from Hendon Hooker and CJ Stroud and Caleb Williams. But man, oh man, what a season that number 10 is having for the Tar Heels. So good on him. What else we got here? Iowa has won their 3rd straight game, and they've done so by scoring points. So they've scored 33, 24, and 24 in 3 consecutive games. That is well over their season total prior to those 3 matchups. So they now control their own destiny in getting to Indianapolis. If they win out, they will own the tiebreakers to win the West, because Illinois seems like they are pretty much out of it now. Iowa has to play Minnesota and, for the Floyd of Rosedale, and then they get Nebraska as well. 2 games that they're in a position where they could win it. Big one, though, coming up for the battle for the pig, but they've seemed to have history on their side in that one for the most part. And also congrats for winning the Heartland Trophy and beating Wisconsin for just the 3rd time in 11 seasons, doing it with defense. They are just shutting teams out, and Spencer Petras has found a way to not really make mistakes, and they're getting the run game going just enough to put those points on the board and utilize that smothering defense. So good for Coach Ferentz and that Iowa Hawkeye football team, and the things that they've accomplished, especially this weekend, by out-physicaling a physical Wisconsin team. And then let's end it off with probably my most gratifying choice, and that is the service academies. I salute you, men and women. So even though Navy and Army lost this last weekend, Navy lost by 3 to a Number 20 ranked Notre Dame team, who is now 7-3 on the season, coming off of 3 consecutive ranked victories or victories over ranked teams. And then Army lost by a point, and they did that by unfortunately missing a field goal as time expired against Troy, a Troy team who is 8-2 atop the Sun Belt West, and I think they may have clinched. Maybe they got to win one more. Actually, no, they're tied with South Alabama, but they own the tiebreaker over that. So one more victory or a loss by the Jaguars, and Troy makes it to the SBC title game to take on Coastal Carolina. And then Air Force beat the doors off of New Mexico at home in Colorado Springs. So again, always entertaining football from the service academies. And more than that, thank you and God bless you all for keeping us safe and allowing us to enjoy the liberties that we have in this great country. And heartfelt thoughts and prayers go out to the Virginia football family and everybody associated with that great university and with those great young men, the tragedy that struck. So deep felt heart concerns and emotions going to all of you. And thank you for all of you that you do. Thanks for following along. I'm Chappy. This is what I love. This is what I know.